7 gunboats. 12 minutes. Gone. That is all it took. On the morning of May 4th, 2026, Iran sent its fast attack craft swarming into the Strait of Hormuz, armed, aggressive, and convinced the Americans would blink. They did not blink. AH-64 Apache helicopters dropped out of the sky, and before Tehran could issue a single statement, 6 IRGC speedboats were burning wreckage on the surface of the Persian Gulf. The next day, a 7th was added to the tally. And yet, Iran has not stopped. It cannot stop. Because if Iran stops, the Strait of Hormuz opens, the blockade holds, and the regime suffocates in slow motion under 500 million in daily economic losses. So Tehran keeps sending boats. And Washington has now decided that Apaches are no longer enough. The MQ-9 Reaper is coming to Hormuz, and when it arrives, the rules of this war change permanently. To understand what is about to happen, you need to understand what Iran actually built in this strait, and why it is now a death trap for the people who built it. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy operates what military analysts call the Mosquito Fleet, between 500 and 1,000 fast attack craft, including the Zulfikar and Paikop class platforms. These 14-ton diesel-powered boats are built for one specific purpose: saturation. They do not fight battles. They flood a battle space. They swarm from every direction simultaneously, overloading radar systems and forcing an enemy to spend million-dollar missiles shooting at 10,000 speedboats. At 50-plus knots, hugging the coastline, hiding in the radar clutter of shallow Persian Gulf waters, they are nearly invisible to conventional naval sensors. For decades, this doctrine kept the U.S. Navy cautious in these waters. That era is now over. Here is what changed. On May 13, 2026, today, the United States naval blockade of Iran. Iran has watched its Kharg Island terminal, responsible for 90% of its oil exports, fill to 98% storage capacity. The oil has nowhere to go? The money has stopped flowing, and Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, has not been seen publicly since the war began. The IRGCN has been operating without a central naval commander for 6 consecutive weeks, ever since Admiral Alireza Tangsiri was killed in an Israeli airstrike on March 26th. A leaderless fleet, a sealed coastline, a regime hemorrhaging $500 million every single day. And still, Iran is sending the boats out. Project Freedom, America's operation to escort stranded commercial ships through the strait, exposed one critical gap in the current U.S. kill chain. Apaches and Seahawk helicopters are reactive. They respond after a swarm launches. They are lethal, yes. 7 boats destroyed in 48 hours proves that. But they are not preemptive. And with over 2,500 ships still stranded, 20,000 sailors running low on food and fuel, and Iran now operating what it calls the Persian Gulf Strait Authority to extort passage tolls from neutral vessels, reactive is no longer sufficient. Enter the Reaper. The MQ-9 Reaper carries a 3,800-pound weapons load and can orbit a target area for over 27 continuous hours without refueling. It does not get tired. It does not need to return to a carrier deck. And its primary weapon in this environment is the AGM-114R9X, known in classified circles as the Flying Ginsu. This is not a conventional explosive warhead. It is a kinetic impact weapon with 6 deployable ray. But the Reaper's true power is not the missile. It is the eye. Feeding targeting data into the Reaper's kill chain are E-2D advanced Hawkeye aircraft, providing a fused common operational picture across the entire strait. Task Force 59. AI-powered unmanned surface vessels are simultaneously acoustic scanning, thermally imaging, and generating hull profile signatures for every vessel in the water. Here is the fact that should keep every IRGC speedboat captain awake at night. Even a boat running completely dark, transponder off, radar absorbing paint, engine throttled, is automatically flagged the moment it enters a 5-mile detection radius. The Strait of Hormuz has become the most surveilled body of water in human history. Add to this the Apache engagement data from the May 7th operation, when 3 U.S. destroyers simultaneously dispersed an entire IRGC boat swarm and struck Iranian missile and drone launch sites on the coastline. On May 11th, President Trump rejected Iran's latest peace counter proposal with a single devastating word: totally unacceptable. Iran's parliament speaker, in response, declared a new equation in the Strait of Hormuz and warned that Iran has not even started yet. Within the same 48-hour window, Iranian drone strikes hit Qatar's territorial waters, Kuwait's airspace, and UAE infrastructure, prompting UAE Mirage 2009 jets to conduct precision retaliatory strikes on Iran's Lavan Island refinery, cutting 55,000 barrels per day from Tehran's processing capacity permanently. A French carrier strike group is repositioning toward the region. Britain's maritime forces are staging. General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, publicly warned, "No adversary should mistake our current restraint for a lack of resolve." That restraint has an expiration date. It is called Project Freedom Plus. This escalation tier integrates Dark Eagle hypersonic weapons against hardened IRGC tunnel complexes, the missile cities buried beneath Iran's coastline, and A-10 Warthog strafing runs against the coastal boat pens where the Mosquito Fleet hides. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has already declared publicly that the U.S. holds absolute control of the strait. Army Rangers and Navy SEALs are reportedly in staging configuration for a potential seizure of Kharg Island itself, the jugular vein of Iran's entire oil economy. Iran's Mosquito Fleet was designed for a one-shot ambush. Instead, Washington stepped back, let the swarm reveal itself, and is now preparing to drain the entire ocean. The MQ-9 Reaper does not negotiate. It does not observe ceasefires. It orbits at 50,000 feet in complete silence, and it waits. From the moment the next IRGC engine turns over somewhere in the Persian Gulf, a targeting solution is already computing somewhere above the clouds.